For virtually everything political, Australia has compulsory voting. This postal survey is not compulsory though, and that raises some interesting challenges for the campaigners. You don't actually technically need the majority of the country to win this vote. You just need to make sure that more of your people fill out the surveys and return them. And there's a few tactics you might see used to achieve that. They're very blunt. Please vote and return your survey. This is one that everybody can do, making sure that you and your friends fill out the survey, pop it in the envelope and throw it in the post, don't throw it, but put it in the post box is going to be really, really effective. The power of peer pressure here is really, really strong. You don't want to be that person who didn't vote. Along similar lines, the US has shown that people who think that there's going to be a low turnout are going to be less likely to vote, and people who think that there's going to be a high turnout, or telling people that there's going to be a high turnout, increases voter turnout. Voting plans. This is basically asking people when they're going to fill out their survey, when they're going to take it back to the post box, how they're going to get to the post box, those sort of questions. It's a tried and tested US method. Allowing them to think through the logistical process of filling out and returning their survey makes them more likely to actually go through those steps and fill out and return the survey. Especially for those people who live alone and don't have that sort of casual day-to-day life conversation that you have when you live with somebody else or multiple other people. Riling up your base. Getting somebody emotionally invested and passionate about the issue and certain of voting is a lot more efficient than trying to convince ambivalent voters who may or may not actually end up voting. There's going to be a lot of preaching to the choir. Expect it. Confusing the other side. This one's pretty evil because it's basically a deliberate attempt to get less people from the other side to vote. It's just a scattershot of emotional arguments in an attempt to try and cast doubt in the minds of moderate voters, to try and make them feel like a no comment is better than getting it wrong. It's a little bit easier to combat here in the postal vote because once unsure voters come to a decision, they can tick their box and send their envelope off immediately, rather than being open to more rhetoric whilst they wait for a voting day. In fact, generally a postal survey is going to be a lot easier to get people to vote. A lot of factors that influence voter turnout in countries with voluntary voting, like access to voting locations and like time constraints, that sort of stuff, don't really come into play here. However, because there's such a long time between when you get your survey and when you have to return it, there is a lack of urgency there, and that will make people less likely to get around to putting it back, sending it back. If you're on the yes side, getting people to return their surveys is what you need to be focusing on. Focus on getting people to vote. It's easier and it's more likely to result in a ticked yes box than trying to change somebody's mind. So there we go. Thanks for watching. There's a couple of links in the description about countries with voluntary voting, how they increase their voter turnout. There's a lot of countries in the world. I think most countries in the world have voluntary voting, so there's plenty of studies done on it. You can tweet me, as always, subscribe, watch a video. Actually, before you watch any more videos, if you haven't returned your postal survey, go do that now. And get your friends to go do that now. Return that postal survey, then you can come back and watch as many YouTube videos as you want. There we go.